Grace, Emma, and Meg are stuck with a cheap tour during their Paris trip. They run into a British heiress, who looks just like Grace, and decide to live her luxurious life here in Monte Carlo. Grace is listening to music while working at the diner, till Carl calls her for the order. Emma is already being polite to the customers, even if she secretly judges them. Grace tries to be friendly with Amanda and her other classmates, but Amanda ignores her and wants to order. Emma's boyfriend, Owen, comes to meet her. While they're happy, Grace is just trying to survive 2 more days. Amanda makes a speech as the valedictorian during the graduation ceremony. She gets interrupted by Meg, who comes late and is embarrassed. Amanda continues her speech and quotes Gandhi, which Grace has memorized too. Emma also went to the same school but didn't graduate like Grace did. Meg judges Emma's clothes and reminds her there are children around. Great. Everyone seems to hate each other. Grace doesn't like that her mom, Pam, asked her stepsister Meg to come to the ceremony. They all still pretend to take a happy family picture with Pam's partner, Robert, who is Meg's father. This will surely go well. Emma assures Pam she will take good care of Grace on their Paris trip. No one believes her. Meg refuses to have cake, so Emma is glad to have her share. Robert gifts Grace a bag for her Paris trip. Grace pretends to love it, and Meg points out how expensive it is. You could cut the tension with a knife. Pam and Robert have decided that they want Grace and Meg to bond as new stepsisters. That always works out. They have arranged for Meg's ticket to Paris too, and Robert wants to upgrade all of them. Meg is frustrated because she doesn't want her first trip to Europe to be with Emma. She knows Emma from high school and thinks of her as Texas Barbie. Not bad for a nickname. Robert just wants to give her a chance to bond with Grace. Meg has no interest in babysitting Grace, but Robert also wants to do this for Meg. She has 1 year of college left, and she has stayed in every weekend since her mother's funeral. He wants Meg to enjoy life and party like people her age because her mom would have wanted that. He also reminds Meg of her mother's bracelet and how Paris was her favorite place. Emma is excited about the Paris trip, even with Meg tagging along. She feels everything is better in Paris. Who doesn't? Owen doesn't want her to go, but she assures him it's only for a week. Owen asks Emma to marry him, but he doesn't have a ring. Wow, that was fast. Emma realizes he's only asking her because she's headed to the city of love. She explains that this Paris trip is huge for her since she has never been out of Texas. Owen feels he has everything he needs in his truck and breaks up with Emma when he knows she wants more from life. Pam wants Grace on her Paris trip with a responsible adult like Meg. No offense, Emma. Grace reminds her that she has been saving up for this trip for 4 years. That has helped her get through the torture of cheer squads because she's imagining herself on top of the Eiffel Tower. Pam thinks a trip won't magically change her life, and she's glad because she likes Grace the way she is. Let's see. They're all excited to be in Paris, but Meg has serious doubts about the tour Grace has booked. They are rushing through all the stops for 5 days, and they're expected to see the Louvre in just 20 minutes. That's not promising. Emma asks Meg to play along, but they're always running from one place to another. They stop for a while to take in the breathtaking view, but their tour guide, Madame Valerie, asks them to rush to Sacré-Cœur. Emma insists on wearing heels, so she's forced to take them off by taking support from Riley. Meg can tell Riley is Australian, and he also helps her when she almost trips. Valerie doesn't give them time to eat their sad food, and people keep taking away their plates. That's not good. They also realize their junior ambassador suite is a sad room with 2 beds. Grace still asks them to make the most of it. Meg is sure they've made the wrong booking, and Emma is more worried about charging her phone. She's hoping to get an apology call from Owen and asks them to pretend like they're having a good time. That will be easy. As soon as she plugs in the charger, their building experiences a short circuit. Meg gets a souvenir from the shop to add to her mom's bracelet when Emma and Grace are admiring the view. Grace asks for some change from Meg, but Emma is more curious about the guy checking Meg out. It turns out to be Riley from Sacré-Cœur, but Emma and Grace realize they are about to miss their tour bus with Valerie. Riley tries to flirt with Meg, but the girls drag her so they can rush downstairs. They decide to take the stairs, which scare Emma but manage to get down. They shout for the bus to not leave without them, but they're too late. Maybe it's for the best. Grace knows the tour is a disaster, but she's mad at Meg for pointing it out. She apologizes to Emma for wasting her savings, even when Emma tries to be supportive. Grace also feels she will hear Meg complain about this for every single holiday they spend together. Who wouldn't? Grace keeps ranting about how stupid she was for assuming she could handle coming to Paris. They start running in the rain and try to figure out where their hotel is. Grace just rushes into a fancy hotel, while the paparazzi starts taking her pictures and calling out to Cordelia. There's some story here. Emma and Meg follow her inside and rush to the bathroom. Cordelia, who looks just like Grace, asks the staff how she'll travel to Monte Carlo without an itinerary and ticket. Emma and Meg try to be there for Grace, but she wants them to stop being sweet and enter a cubicle. The staff has checked the hotel, but no package has arrived for her. Cordelia is irritated and heads to the bathroom, where she rants on the phone about being stuck in Paris. Emma and Meg try to get over their shock at how much she looks like Grace. They hear Cordelia discussing how her mother is forcing her to go to a charity event. She is supposed to repair her reputation, but she's planning to catch another flight to the beach in the morning. She knows if she doesn't check out of the hotel, her mother will assume she's still there. There's an opportunity to grab. Cordelia knows that till her mother figures it out, she'll already be somewhere else. Emma is too shocked to hand Grace a towel, so she comes out of the cubicle herself. They fill her in about Cordelia and change Grace's hair so she looks like her. Grace tries a British accent for fun, but the staff assumes she is Cordelia. They try to explain there's been a mix-up, but the man shows her the 26-pound line juiced for her. Something takes over Grace, and she asks them to deliver it to her room. At least they tried to resist. Who are we kidding? This is great! Meg feels bad about staying in someone else's room. Neither of them can still ignore how comfortable the bed is. They soon doze off and wake up to a call for Cordelia's car waiting for her. They try to sneak out of the hotel, but the concierge gives Grace a package and helps her to the car. The paparazzi are going crazy clicking pictures. They feel ambushed, so Grace and her friends sit in the car headed to the airport. I mean, they didn't really have a choice. Meg feels they should head back to their crappy tour, but Grace and Emma want to go to Monte Carlo. Grace wants to take this paid-for trip since Cordelia is clearly not attending it. Good point. They can't waste a luxury life. Grace is trying to seize the moment, but Meg is sure they will get caught. They get dropped off at Cordelia's private jet, where Meg feels too guilty to take the warm nuts. Emma finds a magazine with Cordelia on the cover, and Meg feels her nose is better than Grace's. Ouch. They realize Cordelia is a British heiress who has been a part of many scandals. Bernard Marchand from the Marchand Family Foundation and his son Theo are waiting for Cordelia to arrive. Grace tries to explain in her British accent that she somehow picked up American friends. That could be more convincing. They didn't know Meg speaks French, but they got an edge. Bernard asks them to freshen up till Theo picks them up for the ball. Theo explains that the prince's ball is being thrown in Cordelia's honor. Meg and Grace feel this has gone too far, and they should leave. Emma feels it's stupid to take someone's private jet to Monte Carlo and not even attend the ball. Good point. Grace is worried people will find out about her, but Emma seems confident they can get away with this. Emma feels Meg and Grace are very alike and don't know how to have fun. Emma's plan is mostly to play along so she can get the luxurious vacation she deserves. Grace refuses to wear the heels for the ball, but Meg seems to like her dress. Emma completes Grace's look with a gorgeous necklace, and they all approach Theo in style. He seems mesmerized by Grace but scolds her for being late. Emma is already interested in other men, so Meg teases her about Owen. A man in Texas asks Owen about the girls and points out how far Paris is. Owen calls Emma's cell, but someone in the Paris hotel picks it up. He claims Emma isn't available for Owen. That might be true. Emma asks Meg to relax, but she wants to stay focused on helping Grace fit in. Theo explains that people are staring at her because of the necklace, which is Cordelia's donation for Friday's auction. Grace tries to process that she's supposed to stay the week for Theo's father's charity. With her appearance, Theo knows they can raise money to build 20 schools. Grace loves the futures they're changing, and it makes dressing up worth it. When Theo introduces her to Prince Domenico da Silvano or Dom, her friends find her. Dom asks Emma for a dance, and she's more than happy to be with a prince. Poor Owen. Theo claims Bernard is grateful to her Aunt Alicia, who persuaded Cordelia's mother to donate to the charity. As Theo steps away, Meg explains to Grace that Cordelia's Aunt Alicia was married to her late Uncle William. She knows all this from the magazine and that William perished 2 years ago on a safari. Meg explains that Cordelia was born in Shropshire, her parents are divorced, and she was expelled from her school for setting her roommate's hair on fire. Grace has big shoes to fill. Grace pretends to be Cordelia to greet Alicia and tries to assert her British accent. Alicia explained that she wanted to verify Cordelia's presence to report it to her mother. Alicia feels there's something different about Cordelia, but she doesn't understand it. We do. Grace pretends to be bored to sound more like Cordelia and drags Theo to the dance floor. Now that's convincing. Meg hears Alicia sharing with Bernard how she's worried about Cordelia. While dancing, Emma claims she's in Monte Carlo as long as Dom wants. Grace forces Emma to leave because she's worried about her fake aunt. Meg is excited because she's sure Alicia believes Grace is Cordelia. Owen arrives in Paris and takes a taxi to Emma's hotel. The The girls are enjoying their time at the beach, and Emma keeps flipping for optimal sun coverage. Meg makes fun of her for thinking that it's a science, so Emma retaliates with a vulgar gesture. Emma doesn't understand why Meg was mean to her when she picked a dress for her and fixed her eyebrows. Meg insists she's not picking a fight with Emma, but Emma has noticed the little dig she keeps making at her. Emma thinks Meg is only happy when people around her are miserable. Meg points out that everyone at school, including her, forgot about Emma when she quit school for a catalog shoot in Dallas. Emma is proud of being on the cover, but Meg thinks she's being delusional. It seems like there'll be a cat fight any minute now. Grace tries to calm them down, but Emma feels Meg is jealous of her. Meg doesn't think she can ever be jealous of a waitress who hangs out with an 18-year-old girl like Grace. Low blow. Emma is about to make a comment about who perished to make her so bitter, but Grace stops her. Grace tries to explain to Meg that Emma didn't mean it, but Meg gets offended and walks off. Owen asks the guy who picked up Emma's phone about her. He claims she's his fiancée and shows him a photo. The man only knows that Emma has left for somewhere. Riley finds Meg at the beach and asks if she's following him. She clumsily trips again and makes the bikes fall, but he catches her again. What a moment. Theo reminds Grace she's late for another commitment and asks her to join him in his car. Emma gets flowers in her suite from Dom, who wants to take her out to dinner. Riley brings Meg to the market and brags about his juggling skills. Theo introduces Grace to Lucille, who's supposed to help her to her room. Alicia tries to talk to Grace, but she insists she's supposed to get ready. Grace realizes she's supposed to participate in a polo game, and hopes it's not too hard. This will surely go well. Theo is surprised Grace is headed in another direction. Grace pretends people at home usually bring the ball for her. What a genius entitled excuse. Alicia is surprised because Cordelia usually plays with more finesse. Oh no. Meg and Riley decide to swim, and she wonders if he can go wherever he likes. She is surprised his parents are okay with that, but he explains they're just happy he walked out of the hospital. Riley remembers the time he was in the hospital for a year because of his rugby injury. His teammates visited him for a while, till they were reminded of how a bad fall could ruin their career too. Now that he's out of it, he feels trekking a bit is a good way to get back to his older self. He can tell Meg misses her mom, and she admits she can't find her way back. Her mom was in the hospital for 2 years, and she went there every day to see her. Everyone was always very nice and comforting, but she just wanted to scream. Riley asks her to scream right there, but Meg is not able to. Alicia is suspicious, so she decides to call Cordelia on her cell. The real Cordelia picks up and keeps asking who's on the line. Busted. Grace tries to brush her horse after the game, and Alicia points out how she never usually cleans up after herself. Alicia asks her about the pony she had as a little girl, so Grace panics and gives her a made-up name. Alicia admits the resemblance is astonishing. We think so too. Alicia points out that Cordelia rides an English saddle, while Grace seems to have been taught to ride Western. Grace pretends she's just out of practice, but Alicia feels hiring a look-alike is low, even for Cordelia. She's sure Cordelia is off partying somewhere and threatens to call security. Grace begs her not to for the charity's sake. She promises to fulfill all of Cordelia's commitments the next day so they can help the kids. Alicia decides to play along for the sake of the charity but asks Grace not to mess this up. Well, that was close. Emma tries to get some bling with her fancy dress and takes out Cordelia's necklace for the charity. Theo compliments Grace about the way she rides, and she claims her father taught her. She also knows how to whistle for the animals, and shows Theo how to do it. Theo feels she's different from what he expected, but knows that's a good thing. He's tired of the same conversations and parties with everyone and likes that she is different. I mean, she is. Grace feels the charity work he does must make him feel part of something important. Theo admits his father mostly handles that, while he never gets to visit the schools. He thinks he's faking his way through it all and refuses to believe there's anything fake about Cordelia. I mean Grace. Meg and Emma find each other on the road with their dates. Emma is surprised Meg is being adventurous with Riley. They apologize to each other and hug it out. I didn't see that coming. Meg asks Emma for the necklace back so she can keep it safe for the charity. They head their separate ways after Meg carefully puts the necklace in Riley's bag. Emma is excited to be part of a first-class party, but feels lost in the elite crowd. She notices Dom being rude to the waitress, so she cordially offers her plate. Dom feels there are other people to take care of that, but Emma cleans up after herself and steps out. That was rough. Theo brings Grace to his favorite spot to impress her with the view. He shows her the fireworks, which Meg enjoys with Riley too. Emma was also silently enjoying them alone. Grace tries to confess something to Theo, but gets interrupted when her elevator arrives. Emma is home early and reminds Grace about the houses with big lawns that always fascinated her. Emma has always wanted to live in a fancy house like that with Owen. After that night, she feels being with Owen is enough for her. Grace also feels terrible that she finally met a guy she can be herself with, but he thinks she's someone else. That's just bad luck. She feels Theo will hate her when she finds out who she is. Emma disagrees, because she feels anyone will be lucky to get to know Grace. Meg is still out with Riley and having the time of her life. Owen wakes up to Emma's photo in the newspaper and knows she's in Monte Carlo. That's going to be fun. Meg brings Riley back to her hotel in the morning and seems hesitant to go back to the Grimaldi suite. Riley invites her to Tuscany with him, and his train leaves at noon. Meg knows she can't just run away, so she kisses him before heading back. Grace is freaking out because the article claims the necklace is worth millions. Emma asks Meg to return the necklace, but she realizes she left it in Riley's backpack. So much for being the responsible one. Meg tries to look for him downstairs but knows he's already headed to the train station. They all spot Cordelia also pulling up to the hotel. What timing! As Cordelia waits for her room key, the girls try their best to clean the room and pack her things. Theo stops Cordelia outside the elevator and kisses her. She slaps him and assumes that was another annoying French greeting. Ouch, that will hurt. The girls hear Cordelia closing in and disappear just in time when the concierge opens the room. Cordelia is on call and steps into the balcony right when the girls are hiding there. Grace ducks in time so Cordelia doesn't spot her, but Emma is scared to jump balconies. She still composes herself and moves to the other side, but all the doors are locked. Meg eventually finds a way out, and they all run to the train station. They just miss Riley's train. Cordelia complains to her mother about her auction. She gets disgusted by a half-eaten apple, and also finds the newspaper article in the bin. Grace doesn't want to leave without fixing things with the necklace when she stole someone's identity. She also feels bad about Theo, so Meg and Emma decide to go back with her and help. They don't notice Owen on the other side of the station. Riley also turns up at the hotel and asks for the Grimaldi suite. This is getting weirder. Cordelia calls Francois at the desk and claims her necklace has been robbed. Francois wants the security to deal with it instead of the police, so she gets angry. Riley tries to find the suite and just misses the girls arriving at the hotel. Francois asks Grace about the robbery, but she assures him everything is fine. Dodged a bullet. Cordelia calls the cops in the meantime to report the robbery. Theo hears about the robbery from Francois, but Grace assures him it's fine too. Theo feels she's trying to tease him, and everything is a game for her. Grace kisses Theo and promises to be out for the auction soon. Theo finds girls very confusing. I can't really blame him. The girls find Riley holding the necklace outside Cordelia's suite, just when Owen also turns up at the hotel looking for Emma. This is just great. Meg asks Riley to wait for her in the lobby. Francois gets distracted by the police, who have come to investigate the robbery Cordelia reported. The girls hand over the necklace to Cordelia and try to explain how they didn't plan all this. That's convincing. Cordelia still wants to report Grace for impersonating her and doesn't care about the auction. Emma is worried about the people counting on the auction, and Meg also doesn't let Cordelia touch her phone. Francois assures the cops that it's a false alarm, but they also head towards Cordelia's suite. It can't get worse. The girls corner Cordelia, but she shouts out for help. Grace calls out to the cops outside to ask for time, but the cops make Francois open it with his keys. Meg comes to the door and assures them there's a misunderstanding. Grace comes out dressed as Cordelia and asks Theo to help her with the clasp of the necklace. What a relief. Meg makes up a story about how Cordelia screamed in excitement when she found the necklace. Grace apologizes for wasting their time, but the cop still wants to escort her. Meg checks up on the kidnapped Cordelia inside the room. She assures her they will let her go after the auction. As they're all stuck in the elevator, Grace asks Theo to promise that he will always think of the girl he showed the fireworks to. Owen recognizes Grace on the way to the auction. Meg assures Owen that Emma is upstairs, but asks him to stick around with Riley in the lobby. That will work. Owen is so eager to meet Emma that he heads up to the suite anyway. Grace is glad to have Meg's support as she enters the charity as Cordelia. The real Cordelia tries to threaten Emma, who assures her they have been getting away with this for days. Emma is surprised to see Owen at the door, who admits he was running all around Paris looking for her. The auction for the necklace begins while Cordelia tries to free herself from the shackles. Owen admits he doesn't want to lose Emma and acts out because he is worried about her leaving him. He now understands that she deserves the best and doesn't want to keep her from something better. This would be sweet if so much wasn't going on. Owen hears commotion, but Emma doesn't let him in. Cordelia gets out of the back door when the bidding war is still happening. Just great. Grace makes them stop, and Meg also comes to the stage to support her. Grace admits that the necklace isn't hers, and Cordelia also makes an appearance just then. To prove the point, Cordelia asks the cops to arrest Grace for being an imposter. Grace admits she's a regular girl from Texas who had a chance to be someone special. She feels bad for impersonating Cordelia, but tries to assure Theo everything wasn't a lie. He doesn't believe her anymore and is hurt. Grace begs the people at the auction to not let her mistake get in the way of making a difference to the kids. Alicia bids a whopping €6 million for the necklace Grace is wearing, irrespective of who she is. Cordelia asks the cop to arrest Grace and her friends, but he feels Grace seems nice. She sure is. Cordelia reminds him she was kidnapped, but he feels there's no issue if she's standing right there. He knows Cordelia is not happy, but can't do anything about it. Fair enough. Meg is planning to go on adventures with Riley, and has already told Robert she will check in every day. Grace hugs them and asks Riley to take care of her sister. Grace asks Bernard to tell Theo he is right, and she is different. Bernard is sure Theo knows that, but offers to convey the message anyway. As Emma and Owen enter the plane hand in hand, Grace feels sad she couldn't make it work with Theo. Meg and Riley are excited to be in Machu Picchu and scream at the top of their voices. Owen is building a life with Emma in Texas, and they seem very happy together. Grace is helping out kids at a school in Romania. A woman asks her to run to the post office, so she leaves on her bike. Another woman shows Theo around the same school, and he is fascinated by the facilities. He spots Grace outside the school and runs after her. He finally whistles like she taught him to get her attention. He explains he's there on business, while Grace explains she is volunteering. She introduces herself again as Grace, so they can start over.